Guys got it? All right, hard work on three, sprint to the next spot. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Hard work.
Sprint to the next spot. Don't walk. Get there, get there, get there, get there.
I'm Rick Lewis with Phenom Hoop Report. In today's Coaches Roundtable, we have Coach James Black with Juice All-Stars. Welcome, Coach.
Thank you, Coach Lewis.
Coach, Juice All-Stars, tell us a little bit about the organization, how long you've been coaching, and how you got associated with this organization.
Organization's been around since 2002, based out of Brooklyn, New York, out of Coney Island. It was named after one of the players that passed away, named Jason. It started by Dwayne Tiny Morton, who is the head coach of Abraham Lincoln High School.
Now, how did you get connected with Juice All-Stars out of New York?
I was coaching the NYC Rise Panthers, and we was playing more locally. Pastor Omar Morton, which is Dwayne Tiny Morton's cousin, had a younger son, and they played against us in the Stephon Marbury tournament, and we beat them. And then I built a relationship with Pastor Omar, and Pastor Omar was like, yo, do you want the kids to play more travel ball and do different things? And I was like, sure. And then I went from there, and Pastor Omar introduced me to Dwayne Tiny Morton, and that's where it all started from.
So you're from New York City, and you started out coaching this team in New York, and then since then you moved to North Carolina. Now tell us about when you made the transition to the Hoop State.
I made the transition in like 2000 and I want to say right after my cousin Darryl Hill got finished at St. John's University. He was getting ready for the NBA draft. So his mother moved here, and we came down here to train, and just going back and forth, and I just fell in love with it, and I stayed.
Now you've been coaching Juice All-Stars for North Carolina for how many years?
Almost 12 years now.
12 years.
Yeah, and I had like over 20 years in New York coaching.
Okay. Well, one thing I can tell the audience about you, Coach, is you've worked our camps in the past. You're very passionate, and also the one thing that I will give you credit for is you're a really big proponent of the players off your team. A lot of the people, scouts and coaches, they get emails and text messages. Every event that you play in, you update coaches, scouts about your team's performance. And what's impressive about that is it doesn't matter whether you win or lose. You will text or email everybody on the performance of your team and players. That alone speaks volumes, because most of the time people will only communicate when you do well and you win. But you take the time to let us know how your team's doing, whether you win or lose. I think that speaks a lot of volume. Now, looking at this year's roster, you have a pretty talented team. You've been in a couple of our Phenom events, and your team has been very impressive. You got guys that can play at the D1 and the D2 level. Let's go through your roster a little bit and talk a bit about some of your top players that you have on your team. Let's look at Christopher Nobles. Tell us a little bit about Chris, Coach.
What I love about Christopher Nobles is more than just basketball. The family that he comes from, his father, his mother, and his stepmother, also his uncle Rudy Gay that played for the San Antonio Spurs. What I like about Chris is one of the kids that's been with me since he's been in 7th grade.
Wow.
And he never put on another jersey for another team, ever.
That's loyalty.
And a lot of kids don't. And he has the opportunity to go play for fully sponsored programs. Chris' family pays all their stuff. They go beyond and beneath. He's in the gym, he works hard, a great student. About 6'7" now, and he's the platform that y'all guys have laid for him has been awesome. You know, we've been on the Adidas circuit, Under Armour circuit, chasing that, but he had more success in the Phenom stuff, Hoop Group, and My Lineage Sports. But the platform that y'all have laid for him has been amazing.
Well, thank you. So you say you've coached him since the 7th grade. So that's 5 to 6 years this young man has played for you and has been loyal throughout the years. That speaks volume right there. That's very impressive. Shaquan Harris, let's talk a little bit about Shaquan.
Saquon can be, he can really be one of the most specialist players. Saquon has a past. His past kind of remind me of mine, a hard upbringing.
Right.
You know, my father has life in prison. My mother did 10 years in prison. And Saquon struggles with some of them same behavior issues, which trying to translate him to a young man and make the basketball take him further. And what I like about it is, like, even when you see him, you talk to him, and he comes back to me, he tells me that it means a lot to him. Like, it's just more than just basketball. But I think once everything comes to a full circle, Saquon's going to be special.
Well, he is super athletic, quick off his feet, block shots. He's a surefire Division I player. And you know, I read your tweet the other day, and I read about your past. I didn't realize you had such a tough upbringing. So you know that meant a lot. And talking to you about Shaquan, and I've seen Shaquan play several times, and he brings an abundance of energy on the court. I think the next step for him is, like you said, is controlling that sits of where he gets a little upset at times. And I've talked to him quite a few times. The one thing I've liked about Shaquan is when you get him off the court, Coach, he is a polite, humble young man that you'll meet. Has a nice smile. So I think if he has that potential to be a heavily recruited Division I prospect this summer.
Not to cut you off, but the crazy part about the Saquon situation, he reminds me of the player that names on the back of the jersey, Lance Stevenson. That he have that same hunger and desire.
Right.
Like Lance was the same way, but off the court, one of the biggest, brightest, respectful young men. But they just got that chip on their shoulder.
Right.
It looks like it's anger, and it just plays so hard. Sometimes it comes out the wrong way.
Yeah, that's called immaturity, and that's a growing pain that we all go through at some time in our life. And he has the ability, and I think once he gets that under control, he's a delightful young man. Speaking to him, it's yes sir, no sir. He's very thankful too. I've noticed that about speaking to him in person.
I noticed Saquon wanted you to know this too, because of the platform that y'all set for him that also helped Kyrie. Saquon, after this year, he has one more year at Gardner. He's going to go to Hutch.
Okay, and you said, for example, you already have one player committed to Hutch Community College. Tell us a little bit about him.
Kyrie's situation is unique. He got his cut. He played his freshman year at Wakefield. Then he got cut. He didn't play again until his senior year, which was this year that just passed. But Kyrie, when I first got him, couldn't chew bubble gum and tie shoes at the same time. When I first got him, he was a project, and a lot of people gave up on him. What I like, Kyrie's been coming to camps from here for years. He's been playing in the settings that y'all have set for us. All his success, he played in some big tournaments, and he got a lot of recognition and write-ups, but everything really happened here for him because after Coach Jay and Hutch reached out to Jamie and reached out to Coach Jawan Baker for NC Redstorm.
Right.
And then after the report from y'all, the next couple of days they were down at Word of God and he signed.
Well, thank you there. And the last person we want to talk about, one of my favorite guys on your team is Makai Towns. Tell us a little bit about Makai.
I call him Mr. Biggs. Makai has one of the best footwork that I've seen at a young age. He can play, he can dominate in the paint, he can hit the 15-footer, got to get in better shape. Besides that, it's nothing that he really cannot do for his size.
He's a load on the inside, Coach, and the good thing about him is, like, he knows his position, he knows his role, he's going to stay in the paint, he has great hands, good footwork, and he's one of those players, if he gets them down low, it's old saying on Mouse in the House, he's hard to stop.
Yeah, but you know one thing though, Coach Lewis, I want to say give you, because I've been coming to you since I've been here, and you always embraced me and looked out for my organization, is that sometimes when you chasing certain things, you make a mistake as an organization. And I look back at some of the mistakes that I have made, like when Juice New York went to the Undom circuit, we automatically got into the Undom circuit. I had Blake and all those guys. It was okay. Then we went to the Silver Gauntlet, and every year someone from the Gauntlet got fired and promised us so many different things, and we won. But then you get so caught up chasing the circus stuff. My kids got more scholarship opportunities and write-ups and everything in the Phenom events than they got into the so-called circus.
Well, I think, you're now a true grassroots organization, and we've had this on our Coach's Corner before. A lot of the grassroots organization has kids from their local geographic area, and you have most of your kids from the Raleigh area, correct, Coach?
I have a lot from Raleigh, but I've been blessed and fortunate that kids travel from Jacksonville, North Carolina, Virginia. So I have one kid that's in Florida that come back and forth, but I have been, through the grace of God, I have a lot of kids that travel out of state to play with us too.
Wow, that's great. Well, listen, for college coaches out there, Juice All-Stars, this summer, you're going to be playing in several different events this summer, but Juice All-Stars is definitely a team that you want to really go out and see because they do have players at the Division I and Division